everybody, it's Jodi Franklin here, and I'm here today to introduce you to our new group program called Reversing Diabetes in 120 Days. I am super excited to be offering this group with my partner in crime, Janet Flory, who I'll introduce in just a minute. I have been a functional medicine practitioner for about 6 years now, and although I didn't think I'd ever specialize in type 2 diabetes, it's hard to avoid it. There's so many people who have it. And in the time I've been working with people who have diabetes, I've been able to help just about every single one of them reverse their type 2 diabetes in about 3 months on average. And so I wanted to provide a little bit of a buffer zone and say 120 days. So I'm going to introduce myself in just a second, go through, actually, I'll present some slides to you right now, but I'm super excited to offer this program. And I really, really hope you decide to do it, but I hope you get some good value out of what we're going to talk about tonight either way. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So let me just introduce ourselves. First of all, just to let you know, we are working in the capacity of health consultants or health coaches, just so all of you know that. And I am a certified functional medicine practitioner, as I mentioned. I'm a health coach by background, have a background in fitness and personal training as well. And my specialty at first was autoimmune diseases. I actually suffered terribly myself with chronic urticaria. I had hives all over my body for almost 20 years and managed to figure out how to put myself into remission. And that kind of set me down a rabbit hole of learning functional medicine. And I'm AFMC certified through the School of Applied Functional Medicine. So it's a very rigorous training program. It's an ACCME accredited program. And Janet, who I'm going to introduce in just a sec, is also AFMC certified. So again, reversing diabetes has become a real specialty of mine. And it's so fun to do. And it happens very quickly. So we're going to tell you more about that in a second. But without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Janet Flory, and I'll have her say a few words as well.
I'm Janet Flory. I'm an adult nurse practitioner, and I have been doing primary care for about 25 years. And I am so excited to have met Jodi and to be practicing with her. I do primary care, and the number of people with diabetes is just off the charts. And I spend a lot of time basically trying to help patients figure out how to eat, how to exercise. And I put people on medicines, I help them get off medicines, but I'm obsessed with your diabetes.
So without further ado, I'd also like to introduce you to Sarah, who is one of my clients who we worked with in our practice. And she came to me newly diagnosed with an hemoglobin A1C of 6.8. Whoops, you can go back. I'll just go back. Hold on a sec. And I'll use the little pointer here, but 6.8, and we reduced it down to 4.6 in just a matter of a few months. I worked with her in total for about 6 months, and she actually lost 75 pounds, and she reduced her blood pressure to a healthy 108/67. And she also reduced her cholesterol. So this was exciting. She also, in addition to that, was able to reduce her joint pain and get rid of her fatty liver, which goes hand in hand with type 2 diabetes. She has 5 kids. She was exhausted, and she has gained so much of her energy and vitality back, and now is not on any medication for diabetes. She doesn't need it. Her A1C is really quite stellar. So she's been very happy. So let's talk about what insulin resistance is. And this is a little diagram on the top left here, where you can see when you eat food, the glucose goes into your digestive tract and gets into your bloodstream. Now, what needs to happen is insulin is produced by your pancreas and helps your glucose get into your cells for energy. If you see these little black lines, these are the goalposts of where that glucose goes into your cells. These are the insulin receptors. And what happens is this is like a little key that helps open these doors to get the glucose into your cells. And this is how a normal cell works. This is how a normal cell gets energy. Everything's great. The problem is the high glycemic load of our diets nowadays is making it so that there's so much glucose. You look down the bottom left here, you'll see there's so much glucose that eventually these little insulin receptors give up and they get lazy, and insulin cannot stimulate the cell to accept the glucose anymore. So where does all this sugar go? Where does this glucose go? Well, generally it goes to one of two places. It goes to storing fat. So you tend to get more body fat because of it, because it can't get into the cells. And it also goes into your bloodstream, which can wreak havoc with your arteries, causing atherosclerosis. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is what happens, unfortunately, with insulin resistance. So there's a vicious cycle here. What happens is you eat these refined foods, you make a whole lot of insulin, and then eventually the cells resist the effects of the insulin, and the excess sugar gets stored as body fat, and it goes into your arteries as well. And you wind up feeling hungry because you just aren't getting the energy into your cells, right? So you feel weak and tired and hungry all the time. And it makes you want to eat more of these high carbohydrate foods. So it's this vicious cycle. There's a little more to it that we didn't mention. We're going to mention a little later, but certain other things can cause an insulin spike in your body, things like toxicity and a lot of stress. And we'll talk about that as well, and the effects of that on your body. But we're going to do that throughout the program, so to help you become no longer insulin resistant. And so here are the risks. I mean, you're probably familiar with a lot of these, but you can't get the energy into your cells, so you're going to be tired. You start becoming a fat storing machine, basically, because the sugar has nowhere else to go. And unfortunately, you can develop neuropathy because of this. That can also be as a result of medication. Janet's going to talk about that in a few minutes. The first organs to go when you have excessive blood sugar are the kidneys and the eyes. And you all have heard of people that need to have kidney transplants or go on dialysis or having kidney issues, struggling kidneys. This is reversible. And we've helped a lot of people reverse this kind of dynamic, as long as it doesn't get to the point where there's no return. Your body does have a tremendous ability to heal, as well as your eyesight. And I'm going to show you a guy in a minute whose doctor was jumping up and down because his vision returned. And higher risk of gout. And of course, with the blood sugar being high, you're going to be at a much higher risk of cancer, stroke, and cardiovascular disease. As a matter of fact, a middle-aged adult diagnosed with type 2 diabetes has the same cardiac risk of death as someone who's already had a heart attack. And an estimated 80% of the people with diabetes will die from atherosclerosis. 80%. The death rate 4 times that of the general population. Unfortunately, that's the sad news. The other part of this is the medications. I'm going to let Janet address the medications and some of the problems associated with those.
Okay, thank you, Jodi. When we are trained, both physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners, when we're trained about medicines, we're educated by drug companies. And so it turns out that the education that we get is pretty slanted towards a drug company's perspective. And I prescribe drugs all the time. I'm not anti-Western medicine drugs, but it's distressing to see sometimes that we can cause more harm than good. And the first medication that we use is metformin. You know, many of you may be on metformin or know about it, but it is something that's trying to make your smooth muscle use up your extra glucose. And unfortunately, it causes some vitamin deficiencies. It absolutely can cause GI distress. I once had a firefighter who was put on 2,000 milligrams of this at his first visit, which that's the maximum dose. And the poor guy, he was on the fire truck and he would literally have to stop the fire truck and go knock on someone's door and say, "Can I use your bathroom?" Because he just had so much GI distress and gas and bloating and diarrhea. So I always thought that was not nice to do that to that poor firefighter. SLGT2 inhibitors basically are a medicine that make you pee out the sugar. And I am not a big fan of these medicines. I don't like medicines that are on the evening, when you sit down to watch TV and you see an ad that says, if you've been on this drug, um, it could kill you. I'm a lawyer, please call us. You come see me, I put you on a drug, and then you go home and you sit down and you're like, why is Janet trying to kill me? But this is a category of a drug that literally moves the glucose out of the kidneys and sends it out in your pee, which basically puts a lot of sugar at some very important body parts where where the pee leaves your body. So I've had patients have a tough time on these medicines. GLP-1 agonists. So the Gila monster does eat 4 times a year. There's some story about this. So they went to the Gila monster. They looked in their spit. They found something that was an enzyme or something, and they made a drug out of it. So we now can have you inject yourself with that, and it helps you. Your blood sugar goes down because you have nausea and you're not hungry. So I've had some patients do okay on this medicine, but I've had a lot that have had a fair amount of GI distress. It makes you gain weight. You have to inject yourself. It can contribute to fat in your liver. But I love Western medicine, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, certainly can be life-saving, and you may need some of this for triage while we get to the root cause of the problems, of the diabetes, and we reverse it. So there's things that we can do. That's the good news. But these are some of the other factors beyond the food, the blood sugar, that can lead to type 2 diabetes. And this is why people ask me, I don't understand it. I'm skinny, but I have type 2 diabetes. And then there's people that weigh 300 pounds that don't have type 2 diabetes. And how is that? It's not just a carbohydrate issue. There's other things like toxins. We are exposed to a unprecedented amount of toxins these days, and this can lead to higher cortisol release, which leads to higher blood sugar and higher insulin release. Stress is a major factor, both physiological stress and psychological stress. So physiological stress could be something going on in your system. Maybe you have something besides type 2 diabetes. Maybe you have some autoimmune activity. Maybe you have seasonal allergies. Maybe there's all kinds of things that can lead to physiological stress that can raise blood sugar. And we talk about this in the program. These are things we're going to address. But sedentary lifestyle, you all know that exercise is a big help. And sometimes you're in too much pain to do that, or sometimes there's reasons where you're too exhausted to go out and exercise. So this can become a vicious cycle too. Inadequate sleep can raise blood sugar as well. And so if you're having trouble sleeping, this is something we will address in the program and get you sleeping so that you can lower your blood sugar. We can address health, gut health and dysbiosis if this is an issue. We're on some of our individual consultations, which are part of the program. So this is maybe something you need to address more in depth, but we can definitely talk to you about that. Hypothyroidism can cause all kinds of problems, sluggish clearance of toxins for one, but it is a major contributor to disease as well. And inadequate nutrients. So we're going to talk about this in the program, throughout the program. There are certain nutrients that will lower insulin resistance, and we're not getting them in our diet. So there's some targeted supplements that we do in the short term for this program that actually help address the nutrient insufficiencies and will address the insulin resistance overtly, so that you feel better right away. You'll have more energy and you'll be more able to stick with the dietary guidelines in the program. It makes it much easier when you're feeling energetic and you're rested and you feel good. Also inflammation. So these are some of the factors that we're going to be looking at. And what are the solutions? Before I get into that, I'm going to show you my buddy Ed here, who had high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and gout. And he was one of those guys that was completely exhausted, overweight, and very skeptical about working with a functional medicine. But his wife was a nurse and she was pushing it. She had terrible arthritis and other problems too. So she needed help as well. And working with the two of them, they lost, I believe, 90 pounds between the two of them. and they feel so much better than they ever have. As a matter of fact, the nurse, the wife, is now studying functional medicine as well. She's such a believer. But his diabetes is gone, and he checks in with me every 3 or 4 months just to keep him on track and make sure that he stays diabetes free. And it's wonderful. He's a wonderful example. Everything has been reversed. He's off all his medications. He's off the metformin, which is wonderful too. So our program, what does this include? We're going to teach you how to eat low glycemic eating, but in a way that makes it easy to do. We're not going to do anything radical. We're going to do things in steps that make it easy for you to implement. And we're going to address the insulin resistance first, so it makes it easier for you to stick with the dietary choices. We do very targeted supplements, and this is a big part of how successful we are with this. They're medical grade supplements that are very effective at reducing insulin resistance, and you don't have to stay on these for life. These are only during the program. Once you are no longer diabetic, we will wean off the vast majority of these supplements. So this is only for the program use, and you hopefully will not need it when you're done with the program because you won't be diabetic anymore. We're going to teach you some lifestyle hacks. We're going to address the toxicity. We're going to address sleep. We're going to address gut health, all the things that you need to address. And we're also going to provide one-on-one check-ins with Janet. Janet, as you know, is a nurse practitioner who's been working with diabetics for how many years, Janet, now?
Too many.
Too many. Over 25, no. Let's say that.
Over 25. Since World War II.
Since World War II. So anyways, she will be helping you and helping you with your recommendations and how you're feeling and checking in with you. So that's part of the program as well. And so we are going to meet for 6 Zoom sessions. They are about every 2 weeks, and they are all recorded. They are at 11 a.m. Eastern time, but every single session is recorded. So if you can't make the session, you can still get all the information, and you can still ask questions, because you're going to be part of our private Facebook group here, where our assistant Margot is going to be helping. Margot is also a functional medicine practitioner and amazing health coach, and she will also be helping us answer questions in the Facebook group, as well as Janet and I in there as well. You're going to have the 3 one-on-one sessions. These are about 20 to 30 minutes each with Janet or another nurse practitioner. If we get overflow in this program, we might have you work with somebody else who's a very seasoned nurse practitioner in functional medicine as well on our team. You're going to get targeted supplement recommendations. So like I said, this is a big part of why the program is so successful. You're going to feel great right out of the gate with these, and start being able to follow the nutritional guidelines much more easily by doing that. There's all kinds of dietary lifestyle guides and a community. So this is a group program. You're going to be part of a community that's going to help you to feel good and inspire you and help keep you motivated. So we love having groups. I've done groups in the past with other conditions, and they've gone over very, very well. The group support's wonderful. This is my buddy Andrea. She was one of my first clients. She's my very first diabetic client that I worked with. She was diabetic for a number of years. She came to me for another reason. She was having some other health issues, and I saw that she was type 2 diabetic, and I said, well, let's work on that. And within 2.5 months, she was no longer diabetic. She was able to go off her medications. And I worked with her for a total of 8 months. And in that time, her fibromyalgia and hypertension and high cholesterol and her gut issues were all gone. So this is a woman who could hardly cross her legs with the pain she had, and now that's all gone. So, the acid reflux was so bad that she couldn't lie down at night. So she wasn't sleeping. There was all kinds of issues, but fortunately that's all gone. So what are the next steps? If you want to participate, I hope you decide to do it. And if you're not, that's fine too. I hope you gain some education about what type 2 diabetes is all about and what it does to your system. But if you'd like to, we would like you to get some labs before starting. Now, you can go back to your physician and ask for these labs, or for only $65, we can order them for you. It wouldn't be going through your insurance, but we would make sure that you get all these labs. So for $65, you're probably paying almost that much or more on a copay. So what you're going to do is, if you want the labs, you're going to email my assistant Terry. We'll give you her email, and you can just, when you sign up for the program, we're going to tell that you can just let her know that you'd like to order the labs. The program cost, now this is working with me or my team one-on-one. So we do an initial consultation that is $797, and that's a 90-minute consult. Our monthly fee after that is $749 a month for 2 sessions. So we're also doing 2 sessions in this program. But for 4 months with us, the total would be the $749 times 4 plus the $797. It's $37.93 to work with us one-on-one. What we've decided to do with this program is give a substantial discount to have a better effect on more and more people, and allow more and more people to participate in our program that want to help their own health. So the program cost is going to be $397 per month, no initial cost for the 4 months, or $1588 paid in full. Now, we're going to give a special deal for the early birds here. If you register by March 26th, you're going to get it for only $297 a month, or $1188 paid in full. So that is more than 75% off our private costs. And you can use this coupon code and get another $100 or almost $100 off the paid in full price if you do it by March 26th. So it's called Reversed Diabetes 21 to get that coupon. So that's a pretty decent deal. That is, I think, 80% off or so our regular price, private price. You're going to get discounted supplements as well. Now, the supplements are an additional cost. It's only during the duration of the program, and we are going to give you a full 15% off all the supplements in the program. They're going to cost around $250 a month, but the benefit to you also is that the discount is for life on maintenance supplements if you need any, like a multivitamin or something else, so like a vitamin D or whatever. So for life, you'll get that 15% discount on any supplements you need. And these, again, are the good medical grade ones that most of them you can't just buy in the store. The lab work, like I said, is an extra cost if you don't go through your physician. It's about $65 through us. If you have most of the labs already, we can work in the absence of lab work, but we would like to know we'd like to get a good baseline for you. It's okay if you don't have it. We can work without it. That's okay. I just wanted to let you guys know that. But the supplements really, it's going to be hard to do the program without them. So I think that part is probably non-negotiable if you're going to do this program, because it's just too hard to do otherwise. This is the registration. I'm going to have Terry put it in the chat if you guys want the link for that. And you can use that code again to save money, and it's only $10.97 paid in full, or you can pay it monthly. Either way is fine. And there's one more here. Martha was an insulin dependent type 2 diabetic who worked with me. She had been diabetic for 3 years, and we were able to completely reverse her diabetes. She is off her insulin. She's off all her medications. She's off on several medications. And I believe that was within 5 months it took to reverse the insulin dependent diabetic. And as a bonus, she lost 20 pounds as well. And so does anybody have any questions? I'm going to stop the share here and see if anybody has any questions for us. You can type them in the chat if you don't want to speak up. I hope you guys do decide to join us, but does anyone have any questions about the program? Janet, did you want to add anything?
I'm just very excited for all of you, because you don't have to have type 2 diabetes. It's a man-made disease, and we can reverse it. And the role of the supplements is key. It's amazing what these substances that have been around for millions of years can do. So I suggest you give us a try.
Yeah, thanks, Janet. And I'm super excited to be working with you on this program. Shirley has a question. She says she's pre-diabetic, high blood pressure and high cholesterol. Would this program still be good for her? And my answer is absolutely. This is also designed for pre-diabetics. There is one of the supplements that you probably would not be on very long. If you're pre-diabetic, depending on what your sugars are, we probably not need as long of a time on that supplement, but the rest of them we probably have you do until you're no longer in that pre-diabetic range. And the blood pressure and the cholesterol will likely come down substantially as well. So I think that's about it. If anybody has any more questions, if you're joining us on Facebook, please type them in on the comments below, and we're happy to answer questions. I hope we'll put the coupon code, I think Terry put it in there already. If you guys have any more questions, you know, go ahead and ask them, but this is your life, guys. And I just think that there's no reason to have diabetes in this day and age. Honestly, stop it now before it progresses. Your chances of getting cancer are going to be substantially less. Your chances of getting heart disease, strokes, all those nasty things that are the #1 killers are going to be really much, much lower risk when you reverse this dynamic, and you can live a healthy, long life free from diabetes forever. So anyway, this is our first time doing this program. It is likely going to be more expensive next time we do it, if we the next time we run it. So this is an inaugural price, and I hope you guys do decide to join us. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you all in the program starting in April. Take care, everybody. Have a great night.